to today's video, guys. We're going to be making over this plastic egg that came battered and I had to repair, and we're going to be turning it into something beautiful. So I add my own touch to this and I cover it in Easy Fill 20. So that was me doing the bottom of it, and then this is me when I've completed it. I do sand it after that also. And now we're getting ready to, I'm putting myself on a fresh glue pan, fresh glue. And these are some of the foliages that I am going to be using. And we're going to be making an arrangement around the egg. And honestly, I'm sitting here now looking at it and it's already giving me so much pleasure. So we've got things like this variegated ivy. I did have a choice of putting these certain foliages in, but I didn't use it. I didn't use them all. So we got the ivy, we got the 4-leaf clover, we got the sword fern, and the catkins. The catkins I didn't put in, but I will be doing a couple more of these. Maybe, well, definitely one more of these arrangements, because I've got some more of the plastic eggs coming from Temu. So yeah, this is me getting the base ready. So it's just a wreath on top of a charger plate, and then I've elevated that egg, and as you can see, I've then put Oasis all around the base, and I've glued that in so it's secure. Now the only thing that I would have done here is raise that egg a little bit more, because once I'd got that foliage in, I felt like, well, I still feel like it's a little bit too low. But yeah, that's all I would do. Apart from that, I'm really happy with it. So here I am going around the egg and placing in foliage. And to begin with, I'm using just a small eucalyptus leaf. The way that I'm doing it is if I would be doing a wreath. You know, if it was just a wreath. So that's my placements of the foliage. So, and all you're doing really is you're building layer upon layer. So yeah, and I'm snipping. That foliage is actually coming off a garland that I had. I just like the texture and the foliage of it. So as you can see, I've been working my way around, and I think that I start to add different foliage now. I think it's a darker green. Yeah, I think it's a dark... Is that the darker green? Yeah, I think it is. So it's a darker green with almost like a lime tip. So it's giving it a different... and it has actually, even though it looks similar, it has actually got a different texture too. But it's definitely contrasting the two greens. And then we're almost done with the eucalyptus. And now we're going to go in with some ivy, and this is variegated ivy, as you can see. It's a totally different shaped leaf, so that's adding a little bit more interest. It's variegated in colour, and that's adding contrast to the eucalyptus that's already in there. It's a bigger leaf also. So yeah, it's adding lots of different textures, lots of different shapes, lots of different colours really, and that's what builds a great base, is your foliage and your flowers, different shapes, different colours, different textures. So I keep adding the ivy all the way around. And now we're moving on to a beautiful leaf. It's a beautiful crimped leaf, this, and it's a different tone of green, different shaped leaf. And I add it just to see if I'd like it, and I actually do. So I turn it around to show you, and then I continue. And now I don't add a lot of it, just a little whisper all the way through, but it all adds to the makeup of a beautiful, interesting piece. You know, it's the finer details, isn't it? And so long as there's continuity and repetition of it, then it certainly has its place within the design. So now we've done the foliage, we're getting down to the exciting part, and I'm just showing you this forsythia here, and I've taken it from that spring bunch at the side of me there, which is by Bloomsbury. They are beautiful, beautiful products. And this is a spring bunch. There's no tulips, there's no daffodils in it, but there's muscari, there's the forsythia there that I've just shown you, there's some pitberry, there's pussy willow and buttercups, and I do add some buttercups into this arrangement. It's just a beautiful bunch, and I have had many of these bunches, and I've worked with these bunches, these spring bunches, in the past quite often. I've got a few arrangements using these products. So what I'm doing there is I've put the forsythia in, and then I'm using a little cocktail stick to dip into my glue pan, so that I can add just a tiny dab of glue on the back of those forsythia branches, because I want them in place up the egg, so I don't want them sticking out or anything. I mean, they do, obviously, because it should be 3D. I have got certain elements that, you know, that do stand naturally, but like I say, I wanted them to kind of lie down, behave themselves, sort of thing, whilst I was arranging it. And there I am showing you the very beginning of this arrangement. I'm just going to snip some more of that forsythia off, because I bring it down through that foliage at the front, so it's a continuity, and you know, so it's going to take your eye from the top of the egg and down into the foliage at the front. And there you go, if you can see that, that's what I've done. I've fetched it down, and that's me showing you, taking it down through the front of the foliage. And then I'm going to add these pip berries, and I add these, it's as if I'm making a wreath, and I'm toying with the muscari there, but I actually don't go with that, because that goes in at the front in the actual, you know, in the focal point of this egg arrangement. So I get these two bits of pipberry like that, and it's as if I'm making a wreath, so I'm choosing wreath placement, so where I would place product in a wreath, and it's evenly spaced, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And I do exactly the same thing. Oh, there's Autumn, she's having a little stretch now, sorry about that. I do exactly the same with the little dab of glue, to keep those pipberries grow as if they're growing and clinging up the side of the egg. And I have them lower down. I don't have them as high as the forsythia at the front, because of course the forsythia arrangement that's about to, you know, you will see it come to life. The forsythia arrangement is the focal point, and so yeah, I have those lower down. If you can see in height at the sides there, they are quite some lower than the forsythia that's almost at the top of the egg. If you are enjoying this video, guys, would you just mind hitting the thumbs up for me? Just a quick like, and yeah, that will help tremendously. And now I'm going to add some muscari. I love muscari, I do, guys. Generally comes in purple. I honestly can't say I've ever seen it in fresh in yellow, but what's in this spring bunch is yellow. As you can see, it's beautiful. And is it called a grape hyacinth? I think it's a grape hyacinth, but it's muscari, and it's a beautiful product. There's plenty of texture in there, and I've got it at graduated. Again, I'm putting it in at graduated lengths. As you can see there, I'm pointing it out, and I'm almost bringing that bottom one so that it's coming out. And again, it's to give it that 3D profile. And now we're going to add some lily of the valley. I take that foliage off. I don't care for it really, and there's plenty of foliage the actual flower is going into, and I start there adding it at the back, and I think to myself, actually I really like that, so I carry on adding the lily of the valley. And again, I'm choosing placements that I would use if I was making a wreath. And it looks, you know, it does look really nice, doesn't it? But they're very delicate little, they're almost like little bells, aren't they? And they are absolutely beautiful, lily of the valley. And now I've got some sword fern that it gives it movement, it gives it that, I think if you add ivy and fern to any kind of arrangement, especially a spring one, and it gives it that movement, but it also gives it that natural look, you know, and that English country feel. So when I place my fern, I always think of how a fern looks in nature and how it grows. You know, it's not even, but it grows and radiates from a central point, doesn't it? In fact, that's what you need to think of when you're doing an arrangement. It has to, everything comes from a central point. So as you can see, that's how I've placed the sword fern, and I do tweak that the bottom front piece. But now I'm going to go in with this fern. I got this fern on my last Temu haul. I told you I wasn't impressed with it, but I'm actually impressed with it within this arrangement. It's given it, I'm looking at it now, the arrangement, and it's given it such a lovely light texture. Yeah, I'm super happy with that, and it's added that movement to it, that light and airy movement to it. And it's not flat, you know, it's coming to the front, and you're going to see when I show you the end product. Yeah, so I'm adding that into the front, and I do add little bits in and around. It all adds to the texture and interest of the finished product. And here you can see how it's all, you know, it's all coming together. Every element that I'm placing within this arrangement is all working with each other, and you know, it's beginning to start showing off its potential. Yeah, I'm super happy with it. And then I'm toying the idea now of adding this pink gypsophilia. I'd said to my daughter, who's crafting the other side of the table, she's made a beautiful wreath, a verse wreath, and I'm crafting with her. And I said to my daughter, you know, I'm not sure about this pink, but when I put it in and I made that first placement, I knew straight away that I wanted to add it. Now, I didn't want a big pink statement. I just wanted a little sprinkle to add some, what would we say, some prettiness. Yeah, it's made it look prettier, I think, and my daughter agreed with me, and so I carried on throughout, and again choosing my placements with the gypsophilia, and it really did turn out lovely, and I'm glad that I decided to go with it. I mean, let me know what you think, guys. Would you have added the pink? I did even toy at one point with adding some purple to it, but when we put it up against it, me and my daughter both said, oh no, it's taken away from what's already in there. And it's nice and soft and subtle, this pink that I'm adding. And like I say, because it's only gypsophilia and it's just a little whisper and sprinkle, I think it takes its place, I think. So you can see now how it's coming along, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It looks very natural, doesn't it? Lovely English country. If that was my garden, I'd love to wander through there. And I've now decided, you know, I got that Queen Anne's lace from Temu in my last Temu haul, and I decided to add some of that also. But I nestle that down into the foliage base. You know, I don't have it out. It's not growing tall, sort of thing. And again, I choose my placements, and my placements are as if I would be making a wreath. So there's only 3 heads, so it's I do it in a triangular shape, so it's evenly spaced, and those are the placements within that design. Now there's no saying that you have to do that, because you could have little clumps, sort of thing. Like the mascara at the front there that you can see. They're the only mascara that are within that design, but they are within that main focal point of the design. But it is just a small clump of mascara. So there's no saying that it has to be evenly spaced, but you have to choose its place. You know, that's my opinion. You choose its place, and I wanted this to look as natural as possible, and so, you know, I had that even spaced placement for the Queen Anne's lace, and yeah, I think it worked really well. It's definitely given it balance within the design. And I'm adding some more the Lily of the Valley because I love it, and I think it was asking for more. Now, unfortunately, guys, at this point my camera stopped working because the storage was full. So this is the end result, and I didn't really add much more to it. I hope you got the complete gist of what I was doing and where I was going with it anyway. What I did add was those beautiful little soft and fluffy bunny tails there in and around. I added some yellow gypsophilia, and I added a little bit of extra pink gypsophilia, and that pink eucalyptus there, I added a little bit of that as well. It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? And like I say, if this was a garden, I'd love to walk through it. It's not a manicured garden though, is it, guys? It's English country. It's wild, it's wispy, it's whimsical, and yeah, definitely there's definitely a wild element to it, and I absolutely adore it. I've been taking great pleasure looking at it this morning whilst doing this voiceover, and I'm super happy. It's got mascara, buttercups, lily of the valley, bunny tails, Queen Anne's lace, sword fern, asparagus fern. It's just beautiful, it really is. And yeah, I'm loving the texture, the actual texture of the egg as well. And like I say, the only thing that I would do is elevate that egg a little more. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you very, very soon.